This is Introduction to Civil 3D, Chapter 4, Blocks and Attributes, Part 2. In this one, what we're going to talk about is what's called tool palettes. And tool palettes are a way that you can grab certain blocks or certain tools that you use a lot, and they'll be in a palette, and then you can easily drag and drop them into your design. And so Civil 3D actually has some that they already created. You can create your own. To get to it, you go in and you either click on the icon. So the icon is this little box on the far left of the Home tab, just to right of Tool Space, the bottommost thing, that's Tool Palettes. Or you can just type in Tool Palettes and hit Enter. And it's going to open up the tool palette, which looks basically like this. There are a ton in this program. So how do you get the ones that you want? What you can do is you can create subgroups and everything like that, and they've already done that with some of the ones. And if I come into properties right here, which kind of looks like a little gear, and I click on it, it'll show me kind of the groups that they have right now. And so they have one for Imperial subassemblies. This is going to be road work stuff and all. We'll talk about that when we get there. They have a metric. They have civil materials, multi-view blocks. They just have a bunch of things right here. And then down here is all palettes. Now, once you pick one of these, what's going to happen on the right side is you'll get a different set of tabs. And each of those tabs will give you a different set of items in your tool palette. If you click all palettes, it'll actually put all of them on there. If it puts all of them on there, the way you can get to the specific one that you want to see is you will click on the lower right tab right at the bottom, and it will actually list out every single tab that's involved in your thing. So that's the thing that you bring in. So what do you do with this? Well, it's pretty easy. You just drag and drop it into your file. Now remember, this is not just for blocks. You can also set up different tools. Like I said, we had the sub-assemblies that you're going to be using in Civil 3D. That's one of the default palettes that's already in there. And then, like I said, you can create your own. So let's say you have a set of specific blocks. So you have blocks for your fire hydrants. You have blocks for your drains. You have blocks for your trees. You can actually create your own palette and have that as one of the things you can bring up and then drop them in accordingly when you need to. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in and actually open up a new file, and we'll use some of these blocks, and they have some real useful ones. One of the things that we're also going to use is what's called a dynamic block. And we're not going to make dynamic blocks in this class, but they are great little tools to have because they allow you to adjust some of the characteristics on your block. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to Civil 3D. So let's look and see how we're going to do this. We're going to come in, we're going to open up the file. I'm going to open up a couple palettes. I'm going to open one that already has some landscaping. And then I'm going to open one that actually has some parking tools, and we're going to put in the parking slots and all in this design. So let's go ahead and do that in Civil 3D. So here is my exercise 2 file. It's basically just a parking area, kind of like what we did before. I actually put a couple helpers in here. This will help us in placing a couple of the things. And so this is what we're going to do. So we're going to add some trees to this, and then we're going to add the parking spaces. So let's open up the tool palettes first. So like I said, I can type in tool, and it'll come up right here, tool palettes, and it will open up the tool palettes. The other thing I can do is actually come up here, and this is the button, tool palettes. If I hover over it, it'll actually give it the name, and if I click that, it'll open it up. Now what we want to use is we actually want to have, we want to go ahead and select all palettes. So we're going to come over here to the left. We'll click on the little gear here, and I'll say I want to use all palettes. And that's going to give me a ton of different tabs right here. Well, the one that I want first is landscape. So let's go and see if we can find it. If you look, we have a bunch here. We actually have a little down arrow, so if we need to come down farther, we can. We have an up arrow, move back up the list. The one thing we want is landscape, so that's right here. So I'm going to click it, and it has a bunch of different trees right here. So I'm going to go get this tree, because that's a pretty cool looking tree, and I'm going to click, and here it is. And so let's see, I'll put this like right here, and like so. And then once I place it, I can come in and start copying it. So somewhere like this, and then, you know, I can put this in and copy a bunch in here. So that's the tool palette, and so I can come in and bring these in like so. If I wanted to grab another one, let's see, I'll grab the large deciduous tree. I could grab a shrub. Shrubs are small. Now remember, these are drawn relatively accurately. And, you know, the shrub is kind of boring. Let's see what the evergreen is. My evergreens don't look bad. Let's see what else we got. We have concept trees. I don't know what concept trees are. Oh, they're boring. Yeah, it doesn't look too big. And not too exciting. So different trees, different choices. Oh, they have a big cone pine. Not that big. But there you go with your how you can put those in. So let's go find the other one. I'm going to come right back down to here. I'm going to go down the bottom and click at the bottom of the tab. And I don't see the Imperial parking subassembly. So I'm going to assume I got to click this arrow. And here it is, Imperial parking tools. And so I want that. And if you look, I have all these different stalls. I've got stalls at angles. I've got stalls straight up. I'm going to use a 10-foot stall straight up. And I'm going to come in and let me place it. I'm going to place it right here. So now that is placed where I want it. Now these blocks, and not all blocks are that way. I think, nope, those aren't. Let's see if any of these are. Yeah, nope, these are all just kind of standard blocks. This is a dynamic block. And let me show you what it does. So if I come over here, you look, and I have a lot of these different icons. And remember, basically with a block, when we made that one, all we had was this one thing. Well, each of these give us a little more control over things that we can do. And so you can adjust certain things. So like if I click here, I can not have a curb stop. If I click on this again, I can turn it on. All right? And so I'll I'm going to select this little button. When I do, if you look, as I drag this out, it actually is going to draw more of the things. They're all one block, but it gives me more of the parking spots, which is immensely cool. So let me show you that again. 10-foot stall, straight. And let's say I want to bring it here. It has another icon that's pretty cool. Let me show you. If you look right here, see this one looks like a pentagon. If I click on it and I come over to this line, it's going to try to, and I gotta kind of move it accordingly. Quit jumping. It's giving me difficulties. Come on. There it is. It's going to come in and it will flip this to align with perpendicular to the line that I picked. And so I click right there and it's like, well, that's great, but it's going the wrong way. Let me click this little arrow. Now it's going the right way. And then I can just come in. I'm going to move this up here like so. And then I can just kind of drag this down. And let's say, you know, I want to include this latest one, or I want to come right up. It will not close that, so it's still keeping the stalls 10 feet wide and whatever deep. I can actually lengthen all these as well, and so I can come out here and say, okay, I want one 20 feet, and it'll fit that stall in. So really cool little thing. Up at the top, let's see, I can do a curb island. Same sort of thing here. What's cool about this, exact same thing. So you have controls over how the thing goes. So I'm coming here, actually. Let's move this down. I probably should have done that in the first place. There we go. And so I can come in and click, just drag this down. Let's drag this down to here. There we go. And then I can add in 10-foot stalls over on this side. Once again, click the little diamond, come there, flip it. Move this down here. Stretch this up here. So a lot easier drawing than that other one, don't you think? And this is just one of the ones that's already in there. So it's not, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. This is actually something that's already stored in the file. Oops. There we go. So I can real quickly come in and add those in and kind of detail out my things, and then like delete out the lines I don't need. So that is design palettes, and they have a bunch of other things in there. They have signs for highways, they have signage for things like that. So play around with some of those. And like I said, you can create your own palette as well. We're not going to necessarily do that in this class directly, but I might make a video just to show you how to do it, because it is a useful little tool. All right, so that's tool palettes, and those are kind of the blocks we're starting off with. What we're going to do is we're going to build on this with some new concepts in a little bit. So now that we have the concept down on blocks, and what we'd like to do now is find some way that we can add different information in and associate that to a block. So it's okay, it's cool to have something visually, but like, let's talk about those trees. It'd be nice to be able to say that, okay, this is going to be an oak tree. It's going to, I can get them at Producers Co-op. They are $50 a piece. They're designed to be, like, I could store all that information and keep that in the file to extract later if we need to. Well, you can do that. It's called an attribute. And so what we're going to do in the face-to-face time is actually create an attributable block. And what's cool about this is you can keep that information stored in there, because you're going to create a variable that's going to allow you to store that information. But you can also set it up to where it will ask questions to store that new information when you insert the block. So when you insert the block, it can ask you, hey, you know, what is this, or where is this, or who are you, something like that, and we'll store that information in as well. And so we'll use that. And one of the ways we're going to use that a lot is going to be, we're going to redo our title block. So we'll show you some tools as to how to do that. And like I said, we'll be covering that during the face-to-face this week. Okay? So what I want you to do is I'd like you to try this out. The stuff's on BIM 360. Try to create a couple of the blocks and everything. Look over the stuff so that when you'll be ready at face-to-face for us to go in and create one that has attributes associated with it. All right? See you in class.